Have you ever wondered how a country as small as Israel, surrounded by enemies and almost devoid of natural resources, managed to become one of the richest and most technologically advanced nations in the world? There's a dark secret behind this rise, and no, it's not just innovation or resilience. In this video, we're going to expose the truth that almost nobody dares to tell. We'll dive behind the scenes of the Israeli economy, revealing how geopolitical conflicts, quiet, deals with world powers, and controversial strategies have transformed Israel into a financial superpower. If you want to understand how money really flows around the world, and how these strategies can directly affect your life, your investments, or even your political views, this video is for you. Have you ever felt there's something behind the world's big events that the news never explains? Have you wondered why some countries prosper while others remain trapped in perpetual crisis? Stick with me until the end, because understanding this story can completely change the way you see power, money, and global influence. Israel was officially born in 1948, after the end of the British Mandate in Palestine. It was the direct result of the Holocaust's trauma and international pressure to provide a safe haven for the Jewish people. But that birth was not peaceful. From day one, the new nation faced coordinated attacks from its Arab neighbors. Survival wasn't a choice, it was an emergency. Surrounded by enemies and without natural resources, Israel was doomed to fail, at least on paper. But it quickly turned into a machine of resilience and strategy. Military service became mandatory, and a permanent war mindset shaped an entire generation. Defense became the top priority, and that's when the state began investing heavily in technology and intelligence. In the 50s and 60s, while other Arab nations relied on oil, Israel invested in brains. It imported scientists from Europe, created research centers, and built technological elites within its armed forces. The 1967 war, in which it defeated several nations in just 6 days, was not only a military victory but a strategic power demonstration. The world began to take notice. Adverse geography also shaped its economic thinking. With no oil or large reserves, Israel had to innovate. It developed agricultural technologies, desert irrigation systems, and military-grade software with civilian applications. Constant conflict, far from paralyzing the country, became fuel. Every attack was an excuse to advance faster. Thus, in a few decades, what was meant to be a fragile state became a power nucleus in the Middle East. But this growth came with trade-offs: society's militarization, territorial occupation, and ongoing repression created a new kind of economy, one that mixes innovation with domination. And this is where the story begins to darken. Today, Israel has one of the highest GDPs per capita in the world. It surpasses European countries like Spain and Italy. It's a global leader in technology, cybersecurity, precision agriculture, and armaments. In Tel Aviv, there are more startups per square meter than in Silicon Valley. But the question remains, how was this possible in a land without resources? The army became a business incubator. Young soldiers serving in elite units, like the famed Unit 8200, emerged with enough know-how to create million-dollar companies. Many Israeli unicorn founders went straight from the military to the market. The line between national defense and private profit has never been thinner. War became a resume. Israel also turned adversity into profit. Surrounded by real threats, it developed the Iron Dome defense system, later sold to other countries. It created combat drones, espionage software, and urban surveillance systems, all tested in real-world scenarios. Every conflict is an opportunity to validate and sell war tech. Foreign investment followed the fame. Companies like Google, Microsoft, and Intel set up research centers in the country. The Startup Nation brand became a symbol of relentless innovation. But what investors often ignore is the context from which this innovation arises. A country in a constant state of alert, where security and business blur. The Israeli economic miracle is real, but it has deep roots in conflict. And that raises an ethical question. Can an economy flourish on a foundation of surveillance, war, and oppression? When innovation is born from destruction, who really pays the price? In the next few minutes, we'll enter the guts of this shadow. Economy. and discover who truly profits from fear. Israel doesn't just have an army. It has a war industry. The technology that protects its borders is the same that watches entire populations on other continents. The country became an expert at turning threats into products. Systems like the Iron Dome, which intercept missiles, are just the visible tip of a much larger network. A network that spans from civil surveillance to digital espionage. Companies like NSO Group, creator of the Pegasus spyware, are only the iceberg's tip. This technology has been used to spy on journalists, activists, even heads of state, without consent. And the most shocking part? Many of these contracts were approved by the Israeli government itself. Surveillance became an export product. And profit speaks louder than human rights. Most of Israel's weapons and software are tested in real conflict zones like Gaza and the West Bank. These live trials provide combat validity that attracts buyers. Authoritarian regimes, fragile democracies, and oppressive governments line up to purchase. For many, what happens in Palestinian territories is a tragedy. For others, it's a sales showcase. The army also acts as a startup accelerator. Young soldiers leave with military know-how and create companies that sell solutions for national security or civilian repression. Everything is interconnected: war, technology, business. There's no clear separation between defense and profit. Conflict stopped being a problem. It became a scalable business model. Israel is now one of the largest exporters of arms and cyber technology on the planet. But the foundation of this success is morally controversial. Is it possible to build an economic powerhouse by testing weapons on civilian populations? And how far does the line go between self-defense and exploitation? What looks like innovation may actually be an economy fueled by suffering. Israel has been the largest recipient of U.S. foreign aid since World War II. In military assistance alone, it receives about $3.8 billion annually. This is not a loan, it's a political investment. The U.S. guarantees Israel's military superiority in the Middle East. In return, it maintains a strategic ally in the planet's most volatile region. But this relationship goes beyond diplomatic friendship. Many analysts call it an alliance of convenience. Israel offers regional intelligence, military influence, and privileged access to technologies. In exchange, the U.S. turns a blind eye to human rights violations and illegal territorial expansions. American foreign policy is, in part, hostage to the pro-Israel lobby. This lobby, led by groups like AIPAC, wields enormous power in Washington. It controls narratives, influences elections, and shapes congressional decisions. Questioning unconditional support for Israel is almost taboo in American politics. This creates a diplomatic shield that allows Israel to act with few international consequences. It's a pact of mutual impunity. Beyond money, the U.S. supplies weapons, warplanes, missile, shields, and cutting-edge surveillance systems. That armament is often used in clashes that kill Palestinian civilians. In the end, the American taxpayer funds not only Israel's security, but also its war machine. Few people know this. Even fewer dare speak up. However, this dependency is not a weakness. Israel has learned to turn every dollar into strategic advantage. It used foreign aid as the foundation to build a military-industrial export economy. But the question remains, would Israel's economic success be possible without this steady flow of aid? Or is it a power built on foreign funds and well-protected interests? In Israel, military technology doesn't stay in the barracks. It jumps straight into the marketplace. Former soldiers from Unit 8200, the Israeli NSA, go on to found cybersecurity firms that quickly raise millions in investment. These are 22 or 23-year-olds with experiences that seasoned Silicon Valley CEOs can't imagine. They leave the EEZ army ready to build digital empires. The world calls this an innovation ecosystem. But in practice, it's the militarization of civilian technology. Companies like Checkpoint, Celebrite, and NSO Group have direct roots in Israeli intelligence. Some have worked with secret police, repressive governments, and covert operations. The line between startup and espionage is practically non-existent. Israel has also positioned itself as a key partner of the global elite. It offers technology that protects governments, controls populations, and guarantees national security with brutal efficiency. Major powers, corporations, and even dictatorships line up to buy. All this gives Israel a kind of invisible power, not through diplomats, but through code, surveillance, and digital control. Many of these ex-soldiers end up working for giants like Google, Amazon, or Palantir. They carry tactical know-how and algorithms bred in wartime environments. This creates a global silent influence network, where Israel provides the tools that shape how the world protects and watches itself. All legal, all profitable, all invisible. At the end of the day, Israel's story isn't just about survival. It's about strategic intelligence. They turned the trauma of war into a technological export model, and today they command an influence network that spans from cybersecurity, startups to Western governments. But is this progress? Or simply a new form of domination masked as innovation? While Israel builds skyscrapers, launches startups, and exports cutting-edge tech, Palestine remains under occupation, blockade, and misery. In Gaza, electricity is rationed, water is undrinkable, and borders are nearly sealed. It's an enclosed territory where 2 million people live without freedom of movement. Many have never left their neighborhoods. Poverty is structural and imposed. In the West Bank, Israeli settlements advance year after year, pushing Palestinian communities into ever smaller enclaves. Military barriers, checkpoints, and walls separate families and strangle the local economy. Palestine has no formal army or border control. It's an occupation dressed up as security, but at its core it's apartheid, as denounced by the UN and Human Rights Watch technologies. Israel exports to the world are often field-tested on Palestinian soil. Drones, facial recognition systems, real-time tracking software, all used to surveil and control civilians. Children are detained, journalists are monitored, movements are tracked at both digital and physical levels. It's a security lab where ethics seem to have been silenced. Even within Israel, Arab citizens live as second-class citizens. Fewer opportunities, less public investment, more surveillance. And when they protest, they're met with military force. This contrast between the startup nation and systematic repression shows that Israeli wealth isn't just the product of talent, but also of institutionalized inequality. The inevitable question arises, can there be genuine innovation where permanent oppression exists? Can a country that controls and restricts millions of lives be celebrated as a model of progress? Israel's story cannot be told without including the Palestinian reality, because while one side profits from war, the other pays the price with freedom, dignity, and lives. Israel is, without doubt, an impressive case of survival, strategic intelligence, and innovation. But this success didn't come by merit alone. It also came through war, fear, and constant vigilance. What looks like an economic miracle is, in part, a power project sustained by conflict. And that's something many don't want to see because it shatters the comforting model nation narrative. Israel's wealth is built on a total and profitable security system. A system that merges startups with espionage, army with business, borders with laboratories, where each attack justifies more technology, more funding, more contracts. Terror became an opportunity, and suffering, a strategic asset. Meanwhile, millions of Palestinians live in limbo. No country, no freedom, no voice. They're part of an equation that never appears in economic reports, because nobody counts the human cost of repression in GDP. But it's there, in every wall, every drone, every detained child. It's the invisible side of Israeli innovation. The world applauds Israel's advances but ignores the price, ignores the victims, ignores what had to be sacrificed to get here. And when someone dares to question, they're accused of bias, anti-Semitism, or ignorance. But there's an uncomfortable truth that can no longer be silenced. Wealth built on oppression is never neutral. In this video, we don't pass judgment. We simply show what's hidden behind the numbers, the logos, and the success headlines. Because only when we know both sides of the story can we truly think for ourselves. And now that you know, what will you do with this truth? Now that you know the dark side behind Israel's wealth, what do you think? Is it a brilliant example of strategy and innovation, or an economy built on suffering and absolute control? What is progress, and what is power in disguise? This is the part that rarely makes the news, and perhaps that's why it's so important to talk about it. If this video made you think, leave your comment. Do you agree, disagree, share your view? And if you want more videos that reveal what others hide, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. Here, we always go beyond the surface, and it won't always be comfortable, because only those who question truly understand the game.